Hi, welcome to Control and Compound with Darren Mitchell. I'm your host, Darren Mitchell, and today's podcast we have a guest, David Fraser, owner of Bunkie Life, with his wife Carrie. David, I'm so excited to hear your story today. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, and thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited about it.
Oh, excellent. So you own a company called Bunkie Life. Now, just for the novices out there, what is a bunkie, and what exactly does your business sell?
Sure. So Bunkie is kind of the short form for bunkhouse. It's traditionally like a small little cabin you put maybe behind the cottage or in the backyard, and it's just basically an extra bedroom for a lot of people, or maybe it's an extra, it's kind of a bit of storage space. We started in Ontario. That's where the term bunkie actually originates from, and so it's basically a small structure that you can kind of build and throw extra guests in or use for extra space from time to time.
Yeah, we have one at our cottage, and it's amazing. The kids kind of took it over there last year, but it's a great spot to put extra bodies. I love it. And so, like, what size of bunkie are most people building? Like, what are your most popular types?
So here in Ontario, also in BC, and I believe most of Canada, there's a kind of 10 square meters or less doesn't fall under the classification of a building. So if you're, as long as you're not adding plumbing or anything too complicated, you can build a small 10 square meters or less bunkie and not need a permit in most cases. Obviously, consult your local mafia just to be on the safe side, but that's the general kind of feel across Ontario and BC and beyond. And so it's 10 square meters for the imperially inclined. That's about 100 square feet, a little over 100 square feet. So picture like a smallish, medium-sized bedroom. That's basically a good feel of like what size is most popular for us. So we've niched. All of our bunkies are 9.99 square meters, pretty much. Some of them we've added a little loft, which is a way to kind of cheat around that 9.99. If it's the floor space that your municipality defines as the the limit, then you can kind of sometimes add a bit of a loft. But yeah, in general, they're all about 10 square meters.
Okay. Now I know in our bunkie we have a cottage next door to it, so for a washroom or a shower facility, or they just run in the cottage. But some of these I know are isolated or Airbnb'd or rented. What do you do to solve the bathroom situation other than the nearest tree?
Yeah, there's lots of different options. Like the nearest tree has definitely been a functional solution for some. We actually offer a little kind of outhouse version of the bunkie. It's a tiny little 6x6 kind of micro bunkie. So a lot of people will add a composting toilet or some type of even a catch basin if you want to get rustic. There's lots of different options. You can even add an incinerating toilet if you really get off on burning your poop. It's an option, and that that plus maybe a little hand washing station you brush your teeth in. That's a good kind of halfway solution. Some people have even added showers to their bathroom bunkie. So we sell basically we always sell the structure, and then what you add to that is ultimately up to you.
Okay. And do most people end up putting power in them? Are they do they have power running to them?
I'd say it's about probably 50-50, maybe a little more than 50-50. You can, in my case, I've had bunkies since 2015 for my own family's use, and I just ran an extension cord out to them if I needed a fan running, or in the winter if I needed a little heater going. Some people actually get an electrician to fish wire and do it all really to the nines. You can really, it's choose your own adventure. A lot of people just have their bunkie as their sleeping cabin, then there's no power. Maybe they might have a solar kit or something like that if they're really off grid as well. But a lot of times, if they're just kind of using it for sleeping cabin or just a storage space, then no electricity needed.
And how tough is it to build one of these? Is it something you hire somebody to do, or is this something you can do by yourself?
So I'd say about 75% of our clients will DIY build it themselves. We specialize in small prefabricated kits that basically everything's pre-cut, all the measurement, everything's done. You're basically putting together a Lego kit, essentially, if you buy a Bunkie Life bunkie. And that enables the average homeowner with, like, say, a 5 out of 10 handyman ability to put it together. We've had grandmas build a team of grandmas build a bunkie in the course of a weekend. We've had grandson, grandfather kind of combos. A lot of times build bunkies or just a group of friends or family. And then for the other, let's say 25%, maybe they'll hire their local handyman or skilled person in the area, or we have a good Rolodex of potential contractors that are happy to build the bunkie, and they usually get it done in a day or two. If you're building yourself, I'd say give yourself 2 or 3 days, depending on how big of the kit is and how much time you can really throw into it. It's like 2 long days to build a big kit, or like 3 leisurely days.
Okay. And so are people buying ones with lofts, without lofts? Is it mostly that those larger bunkies, or what kind of the
Yeah,
norm?
I would say we do maybe 65% of the lofted bunkies are very popular in Ontario and British Columbia, especially. And then the rest are like more single story, kind of like a picture, like a little cabin without a loft. And those are very popular as well, but not as popular as the lofts. So it's probably like 65-35. Yeah, I think that's good, a good handle of what's that. And then we do custom larger stuff that doesn't require a permit, or sorry, does require a permit. And that's like very niche. We only sell a smaller portion of that because what I find is as soon as you incorporate the building department and the permits, everyone just is like, yeah, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? Or it just as soon as you reach that point, the complexity and the cost of everything don't go linearly up; they go exponentially up. You know, if you can just kind of stick with, if you can make it work with like one bunkie that you can kind of cozy up into, as opposed to like that extra even 5 square feet. It's remarkable how much of a difference of ease to do and inexpensive it makes it, and just how fun it is just to be able to I just built the bunkie last weekend and it's done, and there's nobody else to sign off on it. It's a very freeing experience for a lot of people.
That's fantastic. So somebody like, start to finish, if they said, okay, I'm interested in a bunkie, how do I pick my plan? Where do I go? And how does it get to my backyard or my cottage or wherever it's going to go? Just kind of walk me through the steps somebody would go through that wanted to build a bunkie.
Sure. So I'd recommend, head to our website, check out our kind of 5 main models. If you make one of those models work for your need, then that makes it super easy. So you're not in the custom stream. You're just like, oh, I can pick this bunkie off the shelf essentially. So our turnaround time can be anywhere from like, sometimes we'll have the kit ready to go, and sometimes it might take a few weeks for us to make it, and then we can ship it out. We have kind of a group delivery system within Ontario where we'll ship 5-6 bunkies at a time. We can drop it off with a forklift right, ideally next to where you're building it, which will save some time, or you can put it on your driveway or whatever if you're inaccessible in the backyard there. And then if you're further out, we can either ship directly to your door or ship to a large center. Like, if you say you're in the East Coast and you just want to send it to say, Cape Breton or Dartmouth, or I think our main shipping depot out east is like Dartmouth, and we can kind of pick it up or ship it from there. And then right now we're only shipping in Canada, but eventually we'll be shipping into all of North America. So it'll probably be similar. Send it to the biggest city near you, and we can figure out the last mile from there. That's probably how we're going to do that. So then leading up to your bunkie, you'll be getting a lot of helpful videos of like how to do it, how to think about it, how to build your foundation so you're ready when it comes. And then when it comes, it's like I say, it's like a Lego kit, and you'll be supported with videos and emails and phone support if you really need us. And like I say, if you've got everything ready to go when the bunkie shows up, it should be like a 2 or 3 day thing at most.
Cool. So I know a lot of people figure out what they want to do when they were 5. I decided at 5 I wanted to be in the infinite banking world, and that's all I ever wanted to do.
Okay. Oh, cool.
How did you end up in this world of Bunkie Life? Were you a carpenter and this is what you did full time? Is this like side project? How'd you end up starting Bunkie Life?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really come out of the womb with wood in hand. Actually, personally, I was a professional musician for a while, and so I basically was touring around playing music, and we had our first child, and I realized, oh man, like we need to have some support here. We lived about 3-4 hours away from my parents and also Carrie's parents, my wife, and my mom started sending me these trailers and tiny homes and yurts and these things, like, because she wanted to be able to come up and stay with us, and after we had our kid, we ran out of bedrooms. So we built our first bunkie in 2015. And so for us, it scratched our own itch, our own need of how do we bridge faraway parents with wanting to connect with us and their grandkids. And then I started renting them out, just as a side hustle, kind of like, let's see if people want to come stay in a bunkie. And it was like right away, it was a huge win. People love staying in them. I was able to pay the bunkie off in like a few months, like 5-6 months. And I realized, there's a real demand for this. I built a bunch more, and it kind of just spiraled from there and snowballed from there. I originally thought everyone's going to want to build bunkies and rent them out. But what I found is that most of our clients they have a cottage, it's not getting any bigger, and their family is getting bigger. And it's like, how do we, similar to what I was trying to do, how do we get our parents or our grandparents or our kids or our grandkids here with us all together all at once? I don't know if you guys have the same experience in your family, but there's something about when all the brothers and all the sisters and everybody's home, we're all under one roof, we're all together, right? It's like that feeling of completeness. And if just 1 or 2 people isn't able to make it, it's like it's not Christmas, And so we like to say that we're in the business of helping people get to that Christmas day throughout the summer. So that's kind of our goal is we want to bring families together for more meaningful connection. The bunkie is very much a bridge between, you know, mom and dad coming or not coming, and the kids coming or not coming.
I love it. Yeah, my extended family, we've got 4 cottages that my parents and my aunt and uncles, started 50 years ago. But
Hmm.
then they all had kids, and then
Yep.
those kids now have kids, and so
Yep.
now there's like, where do you put everyone? So I think we have, as an extended family, probably, 4 bunkies now. I think there's 4 bunkies between the 4 cottages. One has two, and it's like, you know, all of a sudden the kids and grandkids come. Where do you put everyone? And then you're right, with that just whole being together is an amazing experience. So tell
Hmm.
me about we get a lot of real estate investor clients. Tell me about that rental. Like, how do you do that? Is it just word of mouth, Kijiji, Airbnb? How do you rent that?
That's a great question. So I've found the most success for me. Now, keep in mind, I'm just outside of Toronto, so I'm about an hour outside of Toronto. I found Airbnb was huge for us. We basically would fill our calendar completely with Airbnb, as much as we wanted to be. So I was booking for sure every weekend and then a lot of weekdays. Basically, my occupancy was as much as I wanted. I would sometimes block days off just so I could get a breather from how many people were coming. And I experimented with some other listing services like VRBO Canada Stays. I just found it was almost more hassle than it was worth. I was able to fill up with Airbnb completely. Now I haven't done the Airbnbs for a couple of years now because we're so busy with people coming to potentially buy bunkies and they're seeing the bunkies, and so it's kind of our Airbnb grounds, and now it's our kind of tour, showroom, we'll say,
Yeah.
outdoor showroom. But I know that any of our clients that have bought a bunkie and have done even a half, like, some people are doing it full time. They really want to make all the money, but some people it's just their little stream of income that they do kind of part time here and there when they feel like it. But all of them have had success with it, and they've all been able to pay off their bunkie really quickly.
So when you first started selling these bunkies, so you started for your family at first, and how did that come to be? And that was at a part-time gig, and then turn into a full-time gig. And then, how many did you sell in your first year versus, I know your growth's explosive now. So tell me about the business growth.
Yeah, so really so we incorporated the business in 2017. I'd already been renting them out on Airbnb since 2015, but I incorporated the business in 2017 and just kind of like friends and family, like I think we sold 5 bunkies that year, 2018 we did about 30. I think we had 30 clients roughly. And I know all those people by name. They were like the first people to really kind of take a risk on us and invest in our company and stuff. And that was what got everything going. 2007 or 2019, we sold, I don't know the exact number, but I think it was about triple that amount, somewhere in the ballpark of 90 to 100. And then the next year we tripled again,
Wow.
and did, or almost tripled. And then last year we did, I think, about 700 bunkies roughly. Our goal for 2020 is 1,000. So that's kind of the way that the way it's grown. Yeah.
I love it. So how do you grow a business from side hustle to five to 1,000? I know I love your contest. Can you tell me about your contest and just the marketing and how you've been able to promote Bunkie Life? Because probably a lot of listeners have heard about you. I've watched you on CTV and Dragon's Den and a bunch of these places. So what was your kind of marketing approach to grow Bunkie Life?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the thinking that went into it. So we looked at the marketplace of like who was doing kind of sheds and stuff. There wasn't really anyone doing. There was a really limited number of people that even knew what a bunkie was. So we kind of had our own little blue ocean of potential. We had to educate people on what a bunkie was in a lot of cases, and then once they got it, they're like, "Oh, I need this. This is the solution to a problem I had but didn't even know I had." So there was the educational piece. So how do we bridge that? People don't know about us really. They don't know about the product, but it is a real good fit for their problem. So what we found really worked well was let's give a bunkie away, right? And they have a really nice aesthetic appeal. For if you're just listening audio, they're kind of a cool log cabin. They look like kind of a chalet, kind of French, European, or even rustic Canadian kind of log cabin look. So instantly you kind of like, oh, I want to check that out. So we gave one away in 2018, and it got enough interest where people were like really on the hook of like, oh, what is this all about? And so what I started doing is I do these educational live streams, and I would go on and I talk about a different aspect of the bunkie. What is a bunkie? Actually, was the first live stream I ever did. What is a bunkie? What is it? And I talked about a lot of things we've already mentioned on the podcast so far. And then I did, how do you build a bunkie? What's it like to build it? What's it like to finish it? What's it, the greater context and stuff. So for me, it was just, I'm pumped about this product. It solved my problem. It scratched my itch. How could it help you? And so it was a very much an organic, like just educating people through. I did this over about 30 days. People were excited and they're tuning in because like, oh, I might win this thing. And then we gave the bunkie away. Like we announced the winner of the contest, and then we had a little quick like, hey, if you want to buy one, buy one. And that really just drove the whole business that year. And then we just been slowly reiterating, getting it a little cooler, getting a little snazzier, but still that same. Basically, I'm doing a interactive live stream similar to like this podcast, where I can answer your questions. You can chat to me. I try to tell a few jokes, play a little bit of guitar, just keep it light and fun. And that's been, I think, for us a big driver of success. Because other people I've noticed have tried to do the giveaway things with different businesses, and there's no personality to it. There's no human being in front of it. I think we've really strived to have, this is the product. I personally am a user of the product. I stand behind it. And now I've got a whole army of Bunkie Life clients that are like, happy to give their testimonials and share their cool experience of what the Bunkie enabled them to do. And it's really remarkable, the community we've built around this Bunkie Life thing. It's been really humbling to me, actually, because people are taking the idea that I had and they're taking it to the next level for sure.
Oh, that's fantastic. So on the contest, so how do people enter the contest, and how is it they qualify, or how do they win? What was the?
I've kept it really simple. It's basically like you go to our website, you type your name, your email address, and you check a box that says like, I'm 18 years of age and I'm in Canada. It's like pretty basic. I think we started with I'm from Ontario because we just did it in Ontario for the first year or two. And then once it was Canada wide, then it was just I'm a Canadian, or I live in Canada. And then then you're in the contest, and then you could win. But you can also like increase your chances of winning by like sharing it. And we have little things like this past one we had what we call like I forget what we called them, but they're like basically like kind of actions that you can take to establish more meaningful connection with the people in your life. So one was like, call your mom, you know, and then another, it was like these little challenges. And if you did it, you got an extra chance to win. One of them was like, call someone you disagree with and just hear them out. Don't try to get your point across at all. Just hear them out. And that was like the hardest one for everyone to do. So things like that, you don't have to do them. You're in the contest. You could win. You have, I think, a certain chance to win, but you can increase that by doing these fun kind of quirky Canadian things. And like we wrote a book. I wrote a book 2 years ago. This is like the Bunkie Life book. And so this is all like, my family story, which I go into detail, and there's all these client photos, like all their stories and photos of their bunkies and all the things that, they've kind of done with it. Right. And so one of the challenges is like read the first chapter of the book and, that type of thing. So it's all just like, I just try to think, how can we make this more engaging and more fun every year? And so every year we manage to kind of riff on it and make it a little better.
I love it. Okay, so you're investing in your business. You're putting money back in the business. What other investment opportunities are you active in? Or is there real estate you're looking at? Is there some other investment that you're combining with your business?
Yeah, so I really think it's important, especially in today's day and age, to have as much of your production, your capabilities as local as you can. So this past year, we purchased a factory just outside of Erin, Ontario. It's kind of northwest of Toronto. So we purchased a factory so we can make everything. We're kind of hodgepodging our bunkie production all over the place. Like different places would make this and combine it all together. It was a nightmare of a supply chain. Whereas now it's all under one roof. So by the end of this year, we'll have our supply chain is really like local. We're buying local lumber. We're using local labor, and we're able to make it all in-house. And so I think that was basically my life savings I put into this factory essentially. And I think it's important because it's just the way that getting materials from anywhere other than Canada has been more and more complicated. And I can see that kind of continuing. We were importing some stuff, and it was very complicated. And I always felt like people are trusting us. They're trusting us to get their stuff on time, and we've more or less been able to do that. But every year it got more and more nerve-wracking. And I thought, man, it'd just be great if we had our own factory. Just get your bunkie. We know predictably when we can get it made for you. So that's one thing we invested in. We've also, so full disclosure, I'm a client of Darren's with the infinite banking concept. And so I think early on. I'm not sure when I became a client. It was like 2019 or 2020, maybe.
Yeah, somewhere.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was early on. We had just had our first like profitable year. I wouldn't say it was like insanely profitable, but we had done okay. And so the concept of the infinite banking kind of deposit account was really resonated with me because I like to be very aggressive with my business, but I like to be very conservative with my own finances. So I thought that that was a really good combination. So we have I have a big fat life insurance policy on me. It's a whole life insurance policy on me, and that you know allows my family to sleep at night if because I'm kind of the face of the business, and if I was to get hit by a bus, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would be bad for the business. So that's covered that way on the insurance side, and then in terms of the investment, it's been a nice, stable, compounding investment that I can pull in. So I've used it right now. I've borrowed on my life insurance policy, and it's bought a bunch of lumber in the off season when it was cheap. So now I can make bunkies in the off season. So it's really been a really flexible investment. So that's been a very key investment we've made within Bunkie Life. So I look at that as like the stable, conservative side, and then I'm a big believer in like sound money principles. So I've got a pretty substantial Bitcoin holding within Bunkie Life. So those two are kind of like two extremes of the barbell. So there's the real estate somewhere in the middle. There's a really conservative whole life, and then I've got the Bunkie Life holds a lot of Bitcoin on our balance sheet, and I think that those are kind of our three-tiered. Um, you know, the ship gets bigger and bigger every year and gets more stable every year is the goal. That makes sense. Yeah.
I love it. So how long have you been investing in Bitcoin?
As a corporation, we purchased our first Bitcoin in 2020, I believe. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, it was a good time to get into it for sure. But in general, we look at it as a really long term savings vehicle essentially. And there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with Bitcoin now that wasn't even possible in 2020. So we can use as collateral to have loans if we need a short cash infusion, and we can just hold it. But for me, it's just a really you know an insurance policy against inflation. Essentially, I look at it as a long-term insurance policy against inflation. So it's a nice counter. It's a nice counter one to the life insurance policy because the only downside I think of the infinite banking concept is you're going to make money on your money. You're going to be able to reinvest it. You're going to be able to borrow against it. But what happens if and you're going to get your cash value at the end. But what happens if that cash value, like, you're wheelbarrowing it to buy your bread, like Weimar Republic, Germany? I think that's the only risk on the infinite banking side, right? What if they hyperinflate the money? So I look at Bitcoin as the counterbalance to that risk.
Yeah, a lot of our clients will, anything you can do to combat devaluation of money or inflation, we always go, well, if your money's doing two things, if it's in the policy compounding and you're doing Bitcoin, or you
Yeah.
can put it in there and grow your business, or and do buy gold, or whatever your specialty or whatever your thing is to combat devaluation of the currency
Mhm.
and inflation. If you
Yeah.
have your money doing more than one job, it's going to be there. Um, Now, I watched your Dragon's Den. So what was that experience like going on Dragon's Den?
Right. So that was last year. So 2021, we auditioned for the show. I want to say like March, over like Zoom, kind of like this almost. And then we went in and filmed the show end of May 2020. So we had basically our vision was we wanted to build a bunkie, our biggest, baddest bunkie. We wanted to build it in the CBC studios in Toronto, and then we needed to wheel it in through this huge door, and then the lights would come up, and then the bunkie would be there, and everybody would be like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Right? Problem was like our bunkie on wheels plus the height of it is like 16 feet, and the CBC door was like 16 feet. It was within an inch, and we're just like, how are we going to pull this off, right? So that was quite the challenge. We had to do it all in one day. So we went there, we built the bunkie, we wheeled it in. The next morning, we did our pitch, and then we had to tear it all apart, and we ended up selling it to Arlene Dickinson. She bought the bunkie. So it was like I worked on our pitch for probably 2 months. I ran it by probably 10 people, got their feedback. It like on the episode, you'll see, if you watch the episode, you'll see like the pitch, and it's a heavily edited version of our pitch, but we really had it well rehearsed, and we knew our numbers really well. And that was so I went in there and I felt confident about the actual pitch side of things for the most part. I was just worried about if we were going to fit the bunkie through the friggin' door, and it was going to collapse. And that was dicey. So that was our concern, and the crew's really nice to work with. They were fantastic. The dragons were nice to us for the most part. We kind of went into our personal story. We emphasized that a little bit in the episode, and that made the cut, which I was pleased with. I think they gave us a really flattering edit when it eventually aired in December. So we filmed it in May, but we didn't actually air it until December. So we had this like long kind of gap of being like, hey, we were on the show, but we can't tell you what the deal is. So we had to keep it under wraps, even from our employees and stuff.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
exciting.
So yeah, but overall, it was a positive experience for us. I won't give you the spoiler, but you go check out the episode and see what the results were.
All right, we'll put that in the show notes so listeners can check that out. And then I've watched a lot of your content and followed you for a long time. You're a great guitar player and singer too. I wish I had that 5 minutes while you're waiting for the live stream to start. You're strumming and singing, and I'm like, man, I can't do that. But if only I could sing or play guitar, I'd try that. But I love your story about how you give back as a family, and how you give back as a business. So tell me about the charitable aspect of your work and your business, and how you got involved in those charities.
Yeah, well, I can. So essentially, our family story is we've always had a dream of having a big family, and so we had our first daughter in 2015, which is kind of the incident of like where we're going to put mom and dad, and that was what led to the Bunkie. So Evie came along, totally everything was great, and then we lost two babies right after that. We had two miscarriages, kind of relatively early on, and that's a pretty commonplace thing. People don't really talk about it, but it's the type of thing that is relatively commonplace. And so for us, it was kind of like, we talked to the doctors, but the general advice was, get back on the horse. Here, try some aspirin, try some progesterone. These are kind of the standard kind of, take a pill solutions to that problem. And so we had our second daughter afterwards, and we thought we were out of the woods. And so, a few months went by, and then we decided to try again for our third. And around 16 weeks, I think, we lost the third baby. And that was very like, okay, this is a trend now. This is a problem, right? Was the feeling, and no one had any answers, and we're, trying to get like, how the Canadian medical system is. It's very difficult to get a definitive, you have to be your own advocate. So Carrie's like the type of person that's really like reading PubMed articles and was doing all her research. And after the third loss, we're like, should we really try again? This is a little bit crazy, right? And kind of read up on it and decided, okay, let's give it one more go. And this is 2018. We lost the fourth baby that same year, and it was a very hard loss. It was very far along, and I won't go into details, but it sucks when you lose a baby very far along. My heart goes out to anyone who's been through that. It's a very traumatizing kind of thing. So we went through that experience and still no answers, and it was very much a test of like, oh man, like, are we going to get through this? We still had two kids at home, right? Like two small children at home that we needed to be there for, and we can't be, mopey and grieving and downers all the time. So what happened was Carrie's parents, luckily they were retired. They kind of dropped everything. They came up and stayed with us. My parents came as much as they could. And the Bunkie was a very much like, the bridge, like I said, for them to be able to do that. My parents lived 3-4 hours away. Carrie's parents lived 4 hours away. So it was like it enabled them to come and have a place to stay and give us our little bit of time to kind of regroup and grieve the losses, and they could come be with the kids. And it was for us, it was a very pivotal moment to get through what was a very tough time as a family. And during that time, friends of ours were experiencing like basically a kind of situation where their kid was born sick, and they had to drive 3 hours. They lived in Barrie, and their their kid was staying in Toronto, sick kids, and they went and stayed at Ronald McDonald House so they could be close. And what we kind of realized was like, this little Bunkie on the top of our hill, it's kind of like a little Ronald McDonald House where our parents can come and be close to us while we're going through this tough time. And we had built our own little Ronald McDonald House there, and we didn't even realize it. So I got in touch with the Ronald McDonald House people in Ottawa, and we started kind of chatting about our story and how can we kind of contribute to what you're doing. It's a real meaningful charity that makes a real meaningful difference in people's lives that are going through something pretty intense in most cases. And so it's a it's a pretty simple, straightforward partnership. Every bunkie we sell, we donate a night's stay to a Ronald McDonald House somewhere in Canada now. And then also we do little, like, the goal was that we were going to have little events where we'd come and volunteer and stuff like that. And then COVID kind of shut some of that down. But as much as we can, we want to get the Bunkie Life community, our clients and our greater community, like, donating. So we'll have little pitches where we'll say, hey, like, if you buy this book, for example, if you buy the Bunkie Life book, we'll donate the proceeds to Ronald McDonald House. There's other little things we do throughout the year, and we're hoping to kind of expand on that. But the general agreement we have is we sell a bunkie and someone gets a night stay. So you can be a hero for your own family and you give everybody a place to stay at the cottage or at the backyard or the house or whatever. But you're also being a hero for another family somewhere in Ontario or Canada that really needs it. It's kind of the bird's eye view of our partnership with Ronald McDonald House.
That's fantastic. And you also are involved with Make-A-Wish?
Well, I mean, really, Ronald McDonald House is our main charity, but we've been approached by Make-A-Wish a million times because, for whatever reason, like, kids are like, hey, do you want to meet Kanye West? Do you want to fly in a hot air balloon? Do you want to, like, no, they're like, I want a bunkie. so I think we've built 10 of them now for different kids, and it's always fun every time. So a lot of times we try to rally volunteers to build them if we can. So we'll donate the kit or donate a portion of the kit, and then we'll get a bunch of volunteers. We'll go build a kit for some family somewhere, some kid. It's been good. So we're not, like, officially partnered with Make-A-Wish. We've just done a lot of them. As long as we can pull it off, we'll try to do it, try to help out. And those are the only two charities we associate with. As much as we'd love to do other stuff, those are the two main ones. But it's mainly Ronald McDonald House. And then if it makes sense with the Make-A-Wish build and we have the bunkie ready and we can swing it, then we'll do it as well.
Great. So and now you've got three happy kids. I know just from the pictures I've seen. Do they have any clothes that don't say Bunkie Life? Or
Yeah, no, we actually have four, Darren. We just had our fourth
gorgeous.
kid about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it's had us. So we have three girls. So there's Evie, and then Hope, and then Declan. And Declan is kind of our miracle kid. So to finish that story, we lost four babies, and we still had no answers. And we were praying, like, what do we do about this? And let's try one more time. This will be our last our last toss. And so we just got pregnant, and about, I don't know, a certain number of weeks into the pregnancy, Carrie was Googling herself, right, Googling her conditions, blah, blah, and found this thing. Basically self-identified her own problem and got a genetic test to confirm it. And it was basically her blood makes a little too many platelets, so we got a special injection that kind of brings the platelets down to a normal level. And we've had Declan, obviously, and then just recently we had our son, Owen. So, yeah,
That's fantastic. Well, I love your story. I love your business. Where do people find out more about Bunkie Life and you and your story and all your social media?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, if you just type in Bunkie Life, bunkielife.com, you'll find it. Twitter/Bunkie Life, Instagram/Bunkie Life. It's all pretty much Bunkie Life on all the social medias. I managed to grab them all, except for TikTok. If you're listening, whoever's got TikTok/Bunkie Life, can you please give it back to me? It's Bunkie Life Official on TikTok, but I am 37 years old, so we don't have a lot of TikToking going on. But maybe eventually we'll get an intern to TikTok for us. But right now it's like, we have really good social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and you can always follow us, on any of those. And our website's really well updated, and you can reach out to us through that too.
Perfect. We'll put all that in the show notes. And then before we close here, any business advice you could give to someone starting out a business? What would you go back and do differently, or what's been the most successful part of promoting your business that you'd recommend to business owners out there?
Well, that's a very open-ended question, so it really depends on where the person's at. But if let's say it's your first one or two goes at a business, I would say try to think about what's, like, the shortest possible distance between where I'm at now and how I could, like, definitively prove that this works or doesn't work. How can I fail? How quickly can I fail at this business and definitively be like, this doesn't work? If you're an entrepreneur, you've probably spent, countless hours planning and thinking about the thing, and having all these plans in your head. At least that's what I've always done. My GoDaddy account is like this graveyard of failed business ideas that never got off the ground, And my thinking with Bunkie Life was like, let's just give it away. If we can't give this thing away, then obviously we can't sell it, right? So for us, the shortest path between, like, where we're at now and completely failing was let's just try to give it away. Now that might be true of every business, but for us, that was just a nice, easy way to be like, will the market get excited about this if we just give it away? And that was the really the start of Bunkie Life as we know it now was just let's try to give one away. So I see a lot of younger people and beginner entrepreneurs just like take like a year to get the business plan and they got to get the name and they got to make sure that everything's trademarked. It's like just go out there and fail at it. Go knock on 10 doors and see who wants to buy your doohickey or will pay you to do the service. And if nobody says yes, the market's telling you something, right? Like as much as everyone gives Kevin O'Leary a hard time on Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, like, sometimes you need to take Lassie out behind the tree and say goodbye.
Yeah.
And if we just all got to that goodbye a little faster, well, eventually there's going to be a winner in that grab bag of ideas. It's going to get there, but sometimes it takes, at least me, it took me like 5-10 years to get through a lot of kind of crappy and mediocre ideas to finally find the winner. If I just had it streamlined a little faster, if I had kids, I wish I had kids a little sooner, right? I mean, this sad story of all these miscarried babies is like also because we didn't start having kids until we were like in our late 20s. If I had started a little sooner, probably would have forced me to get a little more serious about the other business I was running. It's not like I would have probably done I would have just, got down to the brass tacks of like getting it done faster. So, my generation especially, like we're just masters at delaying everything. Let's go get our masters. Let's get our PhD. It's like, like just get out there and try to do the thing you're trying to do and fail as quickly as you possible. That's my my advice, if that's helpful.
I love it. Every entrepreneur I know, it's like people look at an entrepreneur and they go, oh, must be nice having this business and all that. Every single person I know has failed multiple times, right? And failure is just the next step up on the ladder to get to where you want to go. So, it's hard to celebrate a failure, but really in business, you're gonna have failures eventually until you fine tune the message, the product, the service, or whatever it is you do. Fantastic. Listen,
Yeah, exactly. And your failure is going to be the building blocks of your success. That was the case for me. So like, you mentioned the guitar thing. So I had 10 years as a professional musician. I kind of took that and it's a building block for the next thing I'm doing. So that'll be true of everybody. But if something's not working or if you're taking too long to get it off the ground, like just get it off the ground, let it crash and burn and pick up the ashes and what's useful from the wreckage.
Yeah, I remember when I first started my business like 15 years ago, I was having brunch with my neighbors, one of my great friends, and his dad was there, and his dad, knew a lot and would let you know that he knew a lot. And I was debating starting a business, and he's like, "Well, just do it." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Well, just do it. If you fail, just go back to what you were doing, or start another one." And I'm like, "But and I'm like, "Well, maybe it is that easy."
Yeah, it is. So it's that simple, but it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Like it's simple to do. It's simple to say that. It's like I understand there's the emotional side I think you gotta get over. That's not easy. That's never easy. If you're trying to grow in life, it's always gonna be uncomfortable. It's always gonna be painful. But just like get over that and just get out there and just expect. I don't say expect to fail, but just expect to like the first one's probably not gonna work out. If it does, that's almost unlucky if it does work out the first time because then you're never gonna know what it's like to. I've had so many stupid business ideas that completely failed. So. Yeah.
Well, you found a winner with Bunkie Life. I'm so excited for your success, and I want to thank you for your time today. Check the show notes out for how to get in contact with David. David, thanks so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Darren. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for tuning into this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you always know when new content is coming out. For more helpful tips and tricks, visit our Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok pages at Control and Compound. If you want to reach out to us directly or work with us, visit our website at controlandcompound.com. The links are in the show notes below. See you next episode.